Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews and connections of mind, and welcome to another installment in my review and reaction series to each and every episode of Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. If you've never seen any of my other review and reaction episodes up until this point, this is my series where I give my brief overview of the latest episode of whichever series I happen to be reviewing at the time, what I liked and disliked about the episode, what I thought worked and didn't work, as well as some analysis as to certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Just to get this out of the way, this will be a full spoiler review to the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. So if you've not seen this latest episode yet, I highly recommend coming back when you have, because this will be full-on spoilers from here on out. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 12, entitled There Is a Tide. This episode picks up pretty much right where we left off in the previous episode. Osyria of the Emerald Chain has captured Discovery, and jumping in tandem with her own ship, they have jumped to Federation headquarters. And however, Burnham and Book on their ship have pursued them and managed to fly Book's ship into Discovery Shuttle Bay, and they are now ready to try and effect a rescue of the Discovery crew. However, Osyria has been allowed into the shield protection of Federation headquarters, so that she can actually she goes towards Admiral Vance with a proposal for negotiation, which Admiral Vance greets with understandable skepticism, but is willing to hear her out. And Osyria comes to Admiral Vance with the topic of she wants the Emerald Chain and the Federation to unite, that they want to create a new Federation and bring the Emerald Chain into this ability with the Spore Drive as part of this deal, where this technology can be used to bring about change throughout the rest of the galaxy, bring the galaxy back together again. However, of course, Admiral Vance views this with some suspicion, and he seems to want to make it work. However, the very nature of Osyria and her being the head of a essential crime syndicate is certainly coloring the waters. In the meantime, the crew of Discovery, mainly the senior officers, are trying to effect a rescue from within, while Burnham and Book are trying to rescue both the senior officers and Stamets, who, without Stamets, the Emerald Chain will not be able to activate the Spore Drive with Discovery. However, it is revealed that a Emerald Chain scientist is trying to figure out how the Spore Drive works and trying to communicate with Stamets and get to know him a little better. And Stamets and the scientists, they're communicating, and Stamets is trying to communicate the fact that Osyria is just the monster that everyone sees her as, and Stamets is desperately trying to get the ship back so that Discovery can jump back to the nebula where the Discovery had left Saru, Culber, and now Adira on the dilithium planet with the deadly radiation that they're trying to escape and survive. But Burnham effects a rescue of Stamets, and she actually prevents him from jumping Discovery away, because she's making the argument that Osyria will threaten the very what remains of the Federation, where Stamets merely wants to go back and save the lives of his family. Both are understandable in this instance. However, Burnham uses a Vulcan neck pinch to subdue Stamets and effect his escape to Federation headquarters, and so Stamets is no longer on the ship. The senior officers have broken out of their containment. Book has been captured by Osyria, and the last image of this episode sees the senior officers getting to the armory, arming themselves, steeling themselves for the task of retaking the bridge. However, while all this has been going on, the Emerald Chain has been has hacked Discovery's operating system, but not all of it. The sphere data, the artificial intelligence in the sphere data, has sheltered itself in the repair droids that are on the ship, and these droids have met up with the senior officers, and they're going to use to help them retake the ship. And this is effectively the cliffhanger that will bring us into the season finale that drops next week. I like this episode just because this is really just a lot of setup. All the action is most likely going to be in next week's episode. However, as far as setup goes, this does us a good job of setting up some bigger conflicts other than bad guy, good guy here, where the interaction between Admiral Vance and Osyria was actually very well done. The fact that they have this lie detector hologram, and while Osyria is trying to negotiate peace, and that's something that Admiral Vance doesn't actually wants but can't accept on face value. There's some philosophical back and forth going on here where the line between idealism and reality, and using this hologram as sort of like a tool in both directions to try to prove their points. I thought that was a very good exchange. Also, while I've heard theories about this, I found it rather curious that Admiral Vance is still the face of the Federation at this point. That the Federation, the president of the Federation Council, designated Admiral Vance as the face of the negotiations with the Emerald Chain because it's a security matter. On the face, that makes sense, though it is sort of curious as to why we've never actually met any of the Federation Council yet to bring the Federation into better focus in the season. Well, who knows what that will be later on. Also, while it doesn't necessarily, looks like the next episode will focus more on the plight of the away team on the planet in the nebula, they didn't really, they touched on the stakes here in this episode, and I think they do a good job they got all the setup and the motivation of things in this episode up front, so they can focus more on what's happening on the planet in next week's episode, and then when it comes back and forth between these two places, it'll be mostly all the setup in this episode has been done in this episode. So when we cut back to the crew of Discovery, we'll know what's going on there. So I think from story-wise, leading up into the actual finale, I think they did a good job on that point. Really, I don't have that many negatives on this episode aside from, the Book and the Andorian Vin, I think is what his name was. I might be wrong. Please don't correct me. I'll Wikipedia it later, of course. But really, his character, he gets shot. He gets disintegrated by Osyria, and it really doesn't make sense in this episode because they revealed that he was in the planet, and that there was the dilithium plant, and now there's going to be like a truth serum thing, and you just killed him. Was it because that he didn't fear Osyria anymore, and that's why? It seemed like the character, they were setting up to be something more than just a guy that gets killed at the end. And that's just my personal nitpick, but maybe his death affected people more than me. Who knows? But really, other than that, I think this episode actually did a really good job. I'm looking forward to what they've set up going into the finale here. I'm just sort of bummed that they couldn't have started dropping episodes a week earlier, and so that the finale could actually be at the end of 2020. So we'll just have to wait till the new year rolls around. But as it is, this episode I think did a really good job. And as far as things that seemed familiar to me, the scenario of the hero ship getting captured by an outside force and the senior officers having to effect a rescue of the ship from within is a scenario that's been done in a bunch of Star Trek episodes. One is the Star Trek: The Next Generation with Rascals. Another one being Star Trek Voyager with Basics Part 2. Also Star Trek Enterprise with Shockwave Part 2. And also Star Trek Deep Space Nine, One Little Ship. I believe that was the name of the episode. So this is a scenario that's been done in pretty much every single Star Trek series. Also, I believe that the Star Trek, the original series, had a couple of episodes like that. So this scenario has been done before, and I feel like this situation is ripe for giving character development between the senior officers, and I think this one does a good job with that as well for what it is. Also, the scenario of an artificial intelligence downloading itself into a robot to survive like a purge of the memory banks of a larger computer. This scenario that I noticed you can see this in a lot of sci-fi actually, but if you're familiar with the Stargate franchise, there's a couple episodes that fit the bill. One from Stargate SG-1 entitled Entity, and another from Stargate Atlantis entitled The Intruder, and both featured an artificial intelligence that infected a computer, both one sort of maliciously, the other very maliciously, and they survived by downloading themselves into a robot, similar to what the Sphere Data did in this episode. So, like I said, this was a pretty good episode. I liked what I'm seeing here. I like the setup. Let's hope they stick the landing going to next week. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did I miss something in my analysis? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my review of the season finale next week, as well as I've posted reviews of Wonder Woman 1984 and Soul on my channel, and also be sure to look for my best and worst of 2020 video to be dropping here very shortly alongside this video. I know there's a lot of worsts in 2020, believe me, but there were some bests as well, and I'm going to discuss those. And as we count down the last few hours of 2020, I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say good riddance 2020 and here's hoping 2021. Again, and if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.